Welcome back to the Raspy Rundown.
Hey, I can see your sign. My sign's not doing very well behind me. I've got to try to figure out how to get it in the picture, but that's
Next
so you
time,
can
I'm
see
gonna
what I
hang this
mean.
up. This isn't even like the final product. I just wanted that there, so at least we have one Raspy Rundown picture happening. But I'm gonna get
Okay.
it hung up. We'll get yours figured out. But we're back from our trips.
Yeah, you did your first girls trip at 26, and I had my first mother-child trip, specifically mother-daughter
Well,
trip.
it's mother-daughter. I don't want nobody says mother-child. It is a
Well, it's because
daughter.
I never went away alone with my son either, so that's why I
Right.
said it. But you're right. So it was my first trip alone with 57. Olivia's graduating. We decided to go to Sedona. I knew the weather was going to be a little bipolar, did not expect what I was going to about to venture to. There was a lot of rain in the forecast, but also sun. And what ended up happening was after your sister got a little food poisoning and kind of let it all out in the bathroom on the plane.
Oh,
No joke. Yeah, there was a lot of turbulence and there was some sickness going on the plane for my daughter. We landed, we were happy to be in the Phoenix airport. We waited patiently for our van to drive us, which took almost 3 hours to get to the hotel. And when we got there, we were really excited. Food every single day we were there was amazing. Hotel could not have been nicer, really comfortable. Although I was on the first floor and I hate being on the first floor, it was really easy because every time we would go out of our room, it was easy to exit the hotel, get to the jacuzzi. But the very first full day we were there, the weather was not cooperating. Okay. With a large capital crummy C double cooperation reject. No cooperation, if you guys can follow me.
mm.
Crummy as hell. I was expecting some rain, but do you think I just got rain? No. So if you know Olivia and I, it's a running joke among us because when we went to look at colleges in North Carolina and in Virginia, we had horrible weather. They shut down the school. They said they had never had this experience. Then we flew to DC and they shut down the DC airport and we couldn't go to Texas. All many years ago when she was looking at colleges. But I didn't think it was going to happen like this in Sedona, but boy, did it. And we were in a shock. So basically, the first full day, we walked around in 30 some odd degree weather, freezing as hell, and it started to hail. We decided with our car service, we were going to go to a different hike. And the guy said, let me take you to this other place, which would be wonderful. And then you could just, when you were done with your hike, go over to the restaurant to eat. We started to walk over and it started to hail. We were on like basically a cliff, scary as anything, and it was crazy. Olivia slipped, it started to hail more, and I thought we were going to fall over the side and be a casualty, two casualties. So we decided to curtail it, head back to the road, and walk back to the restaurant. Little did we know that there was a sign that said no walking in the street, no walking at all. So we had two choices, either to sit in the pouring rain and not even sit, there was no place to shelter, to go against the rules and walk up the driveway, or to do what I did, which was ask a complete stranger for a ride. And
Terrible.
my girlfriend was like, Debbie, how could you do that? There's a lot of, I said, well, he was from the Midwest. He seemed nice. He's an older man. And she said, don't you know a lot of those murderers are from the Midwest? And so I said, no, I never watched Dirty John. Maybe I should watch it. But in any way, I did take a ride from a stranger. Yes, I said it. Olivia and I got a ride. He was super nice.
Well, Olivia said
And
that it was weird because he was an older man who said he had a kid in elementary school and that he did give off vibes of someone who could have been a retired serial killer and maybe he had never been caught and he just living out his life in Arizona. And then look, the perfect two victims just fall into his lap and he's like, this is a sign from God to get back to murdering. And then he could have came out of retirement and killed you guys. But hey, I
did,
don't know. I listened to a lot
did
of.
she really say that?
No, I'm saying all of that.
Okay.
But she said
Okay.
he looked like someone who could have been maybe a retired serial killer. She said he was saying that he had a child who was in elementary school.
It's true. He looked like he was in his 70s. And he was like, I have to go back for my daughter and wife. And Olivia thinks he meant go back to the hotel. I thought he meant go back to the hiking.
Oh,
Maybe he just murdered someone. He was waiting for his next victim.
that's
But at any rate, it was really funny because as we were driving up the hill to go to the lunch place, he told us that he had taken a wonderful tour with the guy that we were taking a tour with that had written a book. So that was pretty funny. This guy was phenomenal. The guy we ended up taking the private hike with, which I'll get to in a second. But in the meantime, we made it up to the restaurant. We had about a 20-minute wait for lunch. And then we called our driver and said, come and get us in about an hour. It was actually really cool restaurant that's been on TikTok. And it's like located at an airport, like one of the commuter plane airports.
Wow.
So it was really good. And we had a lot of fun. And then we called the driver to come pick us up. We went back to the hotel and we were ready to get ready for the rest of the adventure. That night we were doing a Jeep tour. And unfortunately, they never canceled it. So I thought, maybe perhaps they didn't cancel it because the weather was going to, take a turn for the better. Or maybe it was insulated in the Jeep and we wouldn't be out in the cold elements. Well, little to my surprise, in Olivia and Mom fashion, the weather got worse and we were doing a night Jeep tour. And it was supposed to be with the sunset where you get to make stops, get off, see beautiful views. And basically what happened was they continued to do it. It was a nice family with their two boys, one woman with her daughter, mother, daughter, and us. And when I tell you it was cold, it was like frigid cold. It was in the 30s. It was a 5 o'clock pickup night, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. He gave us blankets, the driver. He was like lower in the car. We were much more up higher with the outsides all open and little plastic that was all open for the snow to come in. Yes, I say snow because it started hailing and the sleet started happening. And he said to us, "Is that hail? Is that snow?" Never did I see that before. I never expected that to happen. In all these years, we've never had this. So I continued to start making a little funny face, laughing, trying to make the best of it. I put on my hood.
Oh, we
I
saw
said,
all of Instagram saw that photo you put on. I got a lot of people sent me it from my friends being like, "I'm laughing so hard right now at Deb." You photographed yourself with the hood on, a face real close to the camera, and you wrote, "It's
Yes.
hailing." And you had a big
Yes.
smile on the face.
Yes. And Dad said, "Are you sure you're not in Vermont? Because this does not look like Sedona." When I tell you, Alexandra, it was the biggest freaking disappointment. He kept going, "So, do you guys want to get out? Or do you want to just stay?" But you probably want to stay because it's cold. "Oh, is that lightning? Oh my God, it's lightning. Oh my God, it's thundering. Oh my goodness, we've never had this. And by the way, there's wild animals out here. But if you want to get out, and over there is blah, blah, blah." Normally you could see it when there's a sunset, but of course you guys can't see it because as we speak, it's thundering and lightning and hailing. And this went on for 2 freaking hours. I did get to see some movie stars' homes, and that was cool. But I think Cameron Diaz was one of the people, a lot of people have homes. One thing I did learn is there's only about 11,000 people in Sedona. It's not a snowbird community. It's more of a community where people live, or there's mostly tourists. So there's only 11,000. If you look at where we live in Richfield, Connecticut, there's about 25, 26,000. So it's really, really small. They basically run their life on touristry. Well, we were really good sports to do this. I don't even know. I mean, we didn't even get hot chocolate. Can you imagine?
Cans.
So it was sitting there for over 2 hours. Pretty much you're outside with hail, lightning, and snow. The only thing that was protecting us was the roof. That was it. But what's funny? I sent my picture to one of my girlfriends and I said, "You know what? I picked the right coat. Thank God," because I was between two coats. A cute athletic coat that would have been puffer in the front, but on the sides would have been like no puffer. It would have been just like a regular sleeve, or a more puffer coat that's a North Face, but the thinner puffer that's easy to pack. So thank God. I sent it to one of my friends and all she could say is, "Ooh, that's a cute coat." I'm like, "You're missing the point. I wanted you to say, why do you have a coat on with a hood?" So this was like a nightmare. We got off our tour after 2 hours. And then we ended up, ironically, having to drink some tea. This trip was about drinking tea, barely drinking any wine, because all we did was get warm. We had to keep getting warm the entire trip. Big disappointment from that end. But then all the restaurants were really good. The next morning, we got up really early. We had an 8 a.m. pickup to do a private hike with Dennis, who's an expert in backpack hiking. He was phenomenal. He kept saying we were fit, boosted my ego. That's all I want to say on that end. but it was a very interesting hike with this man. He was very knowledgeable. He has his own private business. He goes to all different countries all over the world, and he works for this other company part-time. And it was a phenomenal 3 hour plus hike. It was 3.5. It was supposed to be, or 3 and 45 minutes. It was supposed to be only 3, but he was such a nice guy. We ended up buying one of his books a few days later, to give to your father, on hiking and vortexes. And did you know vortexes you can find anywhere? It's not about just finding the vortexes in one spot. He did a really cool ritual for Olivia in honor of her birthday. We looked out in the different areas and we had a phenomenal, you know, like kind of like moment where we got to like wish upon a star, wish upon a
Nice.
manifestation, right?
That's so fun.
And it was beautiful. It was clear. The weather was very chilly. He gave us gloves and backpacks, which we used, and he gave us snacks. And we started 8 in the morning. So by 11, it had warmed up. Still,
Nice.
I would say pretty chilly, but beautiful sun came out. And that's all we
Right.
cared about, the sun. And then the rest of the trip was just basically 2 more days of wine tasting and Antelope Canyon, which was phenomenal. And
Mhm.
Antelope Canyon, I'll just say one thing about that. Most people do go to the Grand Canyon, and we decided to go to Antelope. And it was such an incredible time. The thing about Antelope Canyon that was so amazing was that the elevation to get there, we were on a special tour, was going through ice and snow, Flagstaff, particularly Arizona, through warm weather to more of a chillier, beautiful breeze, with Horseshoe Canyon, a beautiful dam, and then ending in this Antelope Canyon, which was like incredible canyon that you go through and you get a tour, but it was windy. And so for us, it was very uncomfortable to keep our eyes open, a lot of sand. So when he was taking a lot of pictures, I had one eye open, one eye closed, but it was something spectacular. I
Mhm.
highly recommend. At the end of the day of Antelope Canyon, we made our way back. And so we had gone through snow, like it looked like Switzerland, to the warmth, to the breeze, to the sand. And it did look like the Sahara Desert when we went to Antelope Canyon, because we had to go into a like van, and we had an Native American man give us a tour and drive us. And he kept going bumpy, bumpy, bumpy. It was really funny. We had so much fun, so much fun.
Yeah.
And everybody kept saying, "Oh my God, you guys are going to the best restaurant, I should say." Livia found it. Olivia's like you and Livia, you guys both, you find the best restaurants. Concierge, she was able to get us in, but normally it takes months to get into this restaurant.
Right.
And then one other day, the last day we were there, was wine tasting, and it was really fun. And we did a spa, and we each did a massage. We did a CBD massage together for our muscles, where they just put CBD on our body. We just did an hour massage. Ironically, when we went to do our wine tasting, which I ended up ordering the wine, which we'll be getting here shortly, I I loved it. The guy let us try 6 wines. We bought 3. I accidentally tipped the guy off the wine that I ordered and the wine delivery, instead of tipping. This is funny, but not funny for my wallet. Instead of tipping $7 for our $18 a person wine tasting, I tipped $50 instead
Well,
of
good for
7.
him. He probably is happy by that mistake, was happy that it probably happens a lot with women who are
Right.
drinking, doing the wine tasting. So he probably just was like, I won't fight it.
Right. So it was really a lot of fun. I will say that, um, Arizona is an interesting place. We needed one more day, and next time we'll definitely do a little bit more. But the weather is just so bipolar. I mean, look, when I went to visit you, it was raining, but this was like, I did not expect hail or snow. So that was
Right.
really crazy. But overall, it was a fun trip. And we really enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
you could tell us about your girls' trip. I'm
Yeah.
sure you had a lot better weather because I've been to Cabo.
I think that's every vacation. I was saying too, I could do another day. We had such a fun time, totally opposite of your trip. It was warm. We were at the beach every day. It was sunny, perfect weather, great drinks, the best food. Shout out to Juliana, who planned the entire trip. She is such a planner. She took us to the best restaurants. Food was phenomenal. The views were gorgeous. We had these guys do like a conch shell performance, the waiters at one of the restaurants. It was so fun.
Oh,
Yeah, it
I
was
bought a
it was
conch ring. I bought a pink conch ring
a
from the Indian
conch
conch. I
shell.
bought a
Yeah, yeah.
pink conch ring
Wow.
from the Indian reservation going there.
Wow.
And Lydia bought a bracelet, matching bracelet. We both bought pink conches.
I actually didn't even buy anything in Cabo. I didn't even shop, which is crazy.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, we had so much fun. It was so, everything was like perfect. It was relaxing. Three of us did a massage, which was phenomenal. The guy at the
Right.
massage was so accommodating. He was kind of the helper there. So after the massage, you come out into the room and he made us tea and gave us nuts, and we got to use the hot tub, the sauna. It was so fun. He gave me like this heated neck pillow. But while we were doing that, and again, having the best massages of our lives, our other friends were at, am I boring you?
No, I'm just really tired.
Okay, you yawned. Our other friends were at this horseback riding thing. And oh my God, Juliana planned, she had gone horseback riding through this service before. It was
Oh,
it was influencery, girls on the beach, beautiful views. Well, little did
wow.
we know that I guess the hotel changed who they do the tours through. So they ended up on a tour in the middle of nowhere with this guy who only had a few teeth, and their horses were going wild, trying to like push them off. He kept being like, tip me, don't forget to write a review. And it was just the most discombobulated experience. They were so mad when like throughout this experience. And here we are having the most relaxed day ever. And they came back to dinner and they were like so traumatized and angry, and they were forced to buy these like ponchos and spend like $20, or you couldn't go on the horse, and their helmets had holes in them. And it was just, and they were like, Juliana would never plan this. Like, let's just wait it out. There has to be this. This was the tour she did, but they had changed locations and services. So it was not, it was the complete opposite. It's like Instagram versus reality. It was so bad. They were so mad, but you know what? It's memories, and they have a story to take home. And we were laughing about it by the taxi ride back to the airport. So it was just so wild. But other than that, I mean, we were like, they're like, how are your massages? We're like, yeah, it was fine. Don't want to tell you how good it was. But yeah, it was such a fun trip. I
I
love
will
Cabo.
say, I will say I went to Cabo last year with one of my friends, and that was one of the best massages. I had an incredible massage this time, but that was definitely one of my top massages I've ever had
Yeah,
in Cabo.
it was
How
so
was the food? Did you guys enjoy the
incredible.
food?
The food was incredible. I saw Jessica Biel at a private beach club we went to for the day.
Ooh,
We were like this far apart, and I was staring at her, not because I care, but because I was like trying to place her. I was like, is that Jessica Biel? So I'm looking a little bit harder because I'm like, I think it is. And then she stared right back at me. I don't really, I was just like, but I was trying to gauge if it was her. And she was talking to this like cute pool boy the whole time. And I was like, I wonder why. And then I realized we found out it was her brother, and her brother works at this resort. So they were hanging out. She was there. I knew it. I texted in the group chat, just saw Jessica Biel, and for like a split second. And then they're like, oh my God, you were right. We saw her. I'm like, I never mess up a celebrity face. Like, I knew it was her. She was casual and sunglasses, hair thrown back, shorts, but I knew.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome.
So it was really
And
fun.
and didn't you say like your friend introduced you to everyone saying, even though you knew some of the women, oh, this is Alexandra, this is her first girls trip or
Yeah,
something?
it was so fun. My first girls trip. Like, I've obviously hung out with individual friends, but being in a group of girls going on a trip was really fun. And everyone got along really, really well. We had the best time. We're still in a group chat. We definitely want to travel again together. So we had a really good time.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I'm really glad you guys did that. I wish I could say the same with the weather. For me, I just have the worst. I mean, yes, Cabo had great weather, but Sedona, it's really iffy. You just don't know. So,
Right.
but overall, I'm so glad we both had a great time. We're both back. Great things coming our way. We're not going to announce it right now, but we're working towards something really special that should be happening in the next couple months. And of course, we're putting these videos out, and you guys can see us so that they hopefully will be seen other places. And yeah, we just want to get right into it and start talking about what we've been watching. I've been, catching up on shows, and you can start with either the Vanderpump one or the You Think You Could Dance.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll go into the Hollywood topics, some of the things that have happened since we've last spoken.
Right. Okay. Let's start with Vanderpump Rules. Let's
Ooh,
go
okay.
over what we've been watching. There's a lot happening in real life too, like behind the scenes of filming. So we have to get into it all. You start, give me your opinions on the players and where you stand with everybody in these last few episodes.
Well, in the last few episodes, my real take is that I feel like it's way before Lala got pregnant, right? So I really feel like Lala is showing that she seems like she's more the stable one and she's more the peacemaker and she's kind of done with the bullshit and she kind of really just wants everybody to get along. Um, I saw some vulnerability on her part with Tom Sandoval, wanting to make amends, wanting to understand that she's been on the other side and understands very clearly that he's going through a lot of pain. You kind of feel like they keep just whipping this up and bringing this topic up over and over again. So those issues with what he's being faced with is kind of boring and not as exciting. What I did find more interesting were the new developments about, which again, they weren't very exciting, but the fact that Sheena and Tom Schwartz had a fling in Vegas a few years back, way before him and Katie were together.
No, no, they
And
were engaged.
who?
Katie and Tom were engaged.
Oh,
Yes.
you're joking. No.
Yeah, and Sheena was engaged to Shay. Or maybe they weren't engaged, but Katie and
Who's
Tom were
Shay?
together. Sheena's ex-husband. Sheena was engaged to her ex-husband at the time.
Oh, she was married before Sheena?
Yeah, to like her high school best friend, and then he had a substance abuse problem, so they had to break up.
Oh, and so because I thought that her and Tom Schwartz got together prior to
No, and they
any.
didn't get together. It was honestly like he like grabbed her to kiss her, and then she was like no, and so it wasn't even a big thing. And she said she didn't tell Katie because why would she want to get on Katie's bad side? Katie already did not like her. She was trying to be liked in the group at that time, so she
Right.
never wanted to bring it up again. It was just a weird thing for Tom to bring up now. It's been so
And
long.
And it's funny because Brock didn't seem like he was bothered by it at all. Brock seemed like it's not a big deal, but Katie was annoyed, I
Mhm.
think, right? I got
Yeah,
the sense she's kind of annoyed that it wasn't discussed. Lala was blown away. And I thought it was really weird that Lala didn't go and talk to Sheena first,
me
that
too.
she went behind her back and brought it up to Katie
Same.
before talking to Sheena.
Right.
I
And
don't
because
know.
her and
What,
Sheena are so close, they have two houses next
right.
door to each other. Their daughters are being raised together. I thought it was kind of rude to say in the confessional, I'd rather talk to Katie first because I don't want Sheena to have the time to paint a pretty picture and get her story straight. I thought that was kind of a disservice to,
That's weird.
yeah, it's weird.
That was really weird. Right. Because
And
it's
it's
like, are you
rude.
Yeah, so like is Lala playing both sides? And then
Well,
also,
Lala said that, I mean, Sheena said that she had told Lala and that, so she doesn't know if Lala was trying to protect her by saying she wasn't told or if she truly didn't remember, but Sheena claims that she did tell Lala that happened.
well, and Lala doesn't remember it. Katie seemed like she handled it pretty well, but then they had to keep bringing it up. And then the other weird thing was that Katie and Lala had just had the fight, but then they made up. So maybe it was Lala. I'm trying to remember the order of events. Was Lala trying to do that to sort of make amends with Katie? Was that before the fight or after the fight? I can't
It
remember.
was after the fight, but I
Okay.
think she, yeah, thought her and Katie were closer at that time than they are now in present day. But
Yeah,
Katie handled it well, but then she went and slept with Tom Schwartz's best friend.
right.
So that was so
Which was
awkward.
weird too. Let's talk about that. I don't even know what that guy looks like. Was he on one of the episodes?
Well, he was on season 9. He dated Sheena briefly, and Sheena bought him an Apple Watch, and then he ghosted her.
That's
So,
weird.
and he used to manage Tom Tom. He used to be the manager of Tom Tom. So,
Okay. So
and
she
then
actually slept with him. She actually slept with him.
Katie, I think so. I think that's what they're alluding to because at the water tasting, which again, I thought that was so boring, so
So boring.
pointless. I'm sorry. Like, I think that guy is cool, but I just don't understand where some of these
Well,
situations are happening on the show.
I think it's weird that maybe because Lala's recovering alcoholic. So she's trying to prove that there's ways to have interesting events without
Right,
drinking.
but they didn't make it interesting. They didn't do anything cool with the water. It could have,
No.
it was just they were standing there around James's backyard. It was a 2 minute thing.
Yeah.
And then it got juicy, obviously, inside. But yeah, Katie and Max, I think, slept together because at that tasting, she said, I won't sleep with any more of your friends or something to Tom. And so something might have happened. I mean, he woke up the next morning there. So yeah, I'm obviously something happened.
Yeah, and also I feel like her ex-husband and her get along really well. Like they seem like they're really good friends. Again, I never watched it
That's so
early,
funny because she hates him.
but they seem like they're
They
just
seem like yeah.
they seem like they're really platonic. And then the other thing that really stood out in my mind was the fact that you know, Sheena's not happy with Brock. She's kind of like worried about the whole daughter thing. He's not happy because he wants to have his career back and he's trying to work things out. She's always annoyed with him. And then also the whole thing with Ariana and the housekeeper, and how the housekeeper wants to go and work for her. And the housekeeper just seems to me so submissive to Tom Sandoval. She seems like she's a geisha girl or something. It's
Well,
so
let me tell
weird.
you something. She went to
So weird.
improv school with two podcasters I love. So I think Anne is like 40 years old, first of all. I think she's
Oh,
40. She went to improv school with two women I know. She wants to be an actress. She wants to be like a comedian. Like she knows what she's doing. She's not this like aloof girl.
oh yeah, because she's comes up.
Yes, but it's a shtick because to find out that she was in improv school at this big improv school with these two podcasters and is
Yeah.
like in around like age, maybe late 30s, 40s, she's not, I don't think she's being an assistant because I think she wanted to be in the mix of this. I think she knew who Tom Sandoval was when she assisted
Okay.
for him. Her personality is very sweet, but just kind of like the aloofness bothers me. Like, I don't
Yes.
know what you're
Yes.
doing, why you're trying to work for Ariana. Like, obviously, that's gonna piss Tom off. Like he said, you want the house, you took our friends, now you want my assistant. Like, what? That's
Right.
just too much.
And what do you feel about Ariana? I feel like Ariana's got so much built up resentment. She's
Yeah,
annoying me.
yeah.
She is such a, I know you had mentioned that she can get very angry, which I had never seen before. I did witness in the last two episodes at the beach when she was freaking out, also at the dinner when she told them to leave, when they were all sitting around for the dinner. I really feel like with Ariana, she needs to just take a chill pill. It is very bizarre that, and I didn't understand this either, as much as she was acting a little bit over the top nasty, why these men were discussing his datings,
I
him
know.
dating at the beach right in front of her. Like, do they really think that was a positive thing? Why were they focusing on his dating? They should have talked about other, you know, neutral areas. Because of course, you know, Ariana's going to be angry with that.
Right.
That to me was weird. I didn't
No,
get
I
that.
agree. I thought it was super inappropriate for Brock to bring up them going to a singles night, James and
Right.
Brock. I thought, of course, she's 2 feet away. Why would you bring that up with her right there? No one's going to take that well. But at the same time, I do agree with what everyone's saying, which is Tom should not have gone in your room, but why did you leave takeout containers by your bed? And again, Lala brought up some good points. It's one thing for her to be traumatized and so scared of him, but then why do you live in the house with him? And the other
Right.
thing is, how did you get a boyfriend 10 days later? That's what I get stuck on. It's like your life, of course, skyrocketed. You have so much great things happening right now, but then I get on the flip side, I'm sure if she had a choice, like, would I want my life to be blown up or would I want money? She would not want her life to be blown up, devil's advocate. You know, she got all of these things because of a terrible thing that happened to her. She's allowed to be upset. She doesn't have to get over it. She can be as upset as she wants, but then it kind of is hard. It's like maybe you should walk away from the show because how are we going to watch this weird, you refuse to speak to him or be in the same place with him. But all that being said is how did you get a boyfriend 10 days later? If you're
I didn't
so,
know that. I
yeah,
didn't know
she's
she had a
been with, well,
boyfriend.
Daniel, the guy she's been with, the
Right.
fitness
But I
trainer.
didn't know that was 10
10
days.
days
I've
later,
heard
she's been
crazy.
with him right, like since right after
But,
that. They met at a wedding, a friend's wedding, like 10 days later, and they've been together ever
and
since.
is this how she acted when she was in a relationship with him? You said she was always nasty and you could never have like a normal
Well,
conversation.
that's
Like,
what he says, and that's what we kind of see clips of, and that's
I
what
see
the
that.
rumors are around Sir. When I worked there, people said like she had a temper and she was always yelling at him and being
I
angry.
mean, I'm not saying it's right what
Not
he
right
did. It's
though, it doesn't
terrible,
make
but
right.
she's got very strong personality. And when they were at the dinner at the house, she started getting really angry about the dog. And she said, "You're a dog killer. You're a dog killer." Do you think that was an exaggeration?
Well, the
What was
dog did
going
not
on there?
die. The dog did not die. So,
Right.
and
What
this
was that
dog,
all about?
well, that was because he got into her room and he like closed the door, or and the assistant closed the door. And when that happened, the dog ate the leftover takeout container. Well, that's her fault for leaving the dirty container next to her bed. She should have thrown that out. Tom did not do it on purpose. I don't know if it helps or hurts Tom's case, but he said in the confessional the dog has swallowed 500 laxative pills, some sort of
Yes.
orange stuff. So nobody's trying to kill Maya, but I think that was an exaggerate. I was just like, he doesn't want to kill your dog. Maybe he was careless, but he didn't do that with
Right.
malintent.
I
And
know. I
again,
know.
leave the house. And I know for a fact, Lala and Katie, I don't think they're friends anymore. And I know Lala and
Oh,
Ariana are not friends anymore. After the
really?
reunion, Yeah, they had a major blowout, which we'll see, and they are not friends at all. I heard the reunion was boring until this blowout, which gauges the question of where do we go from here? Like, is Vanderpump going to be boring going forward? Is there anything that can top the scandal? Do we want to watch a show where nobody likes each other, which is really what keeps happening on these Bravo shows, and it makes it hard to watch when nobody interacts. But the thing is, Lala said too on her podcast, Throwing Shade, Ariana has a new house now. She moved into a house in the Hollywood Hills and it looks
Oh,
beautiful. She finally left the house with Tom. I think they're selling it. And Lala's like, it's not like she moved into a mansion. It's like a little 3-bedroom, which was like a total dig and total shade. But it's like maybe she was saving up the money to be able to afford this house. And that's why she had to stay with Tom for so long. Again, she did Chicago. She lived in the city. But I don't know. She hates him so much, but then she lived with him and she had a boyfriend. So I think it's time to let the anger go. I'm sick of the bitterness and the anger. Again, she has every right to do it. But then what are you going to do? Don't film anymore or don't like what we got to get to some resolution because it's uncomfortable.
yeah. Now, what was the reunion? I'm confused.
That
I've
hasn't
heard,
happened yet. They just filmed the reunion. It's going to air at the end of the
oh,
season.
okay, okay. So you think that the Tom Sanderville thing will be ending pretty soon? Like they're just gonna get, I kind of feel like, and I could be wrong, but part of me feels like Ariana's only doing it for the money, and most of them are doing it more for the notoriety. But I feel like Ariana really is just doing it more for the money.
Well, at this point,
The
everyone
show.
knows who she is, and she's a star. She's a great singer. She's
Right,
in Chicago. She danced on Dancing with the Stars. So
right.
but she is so diplomatic in all of her interviews. She says, like, I feel me doing Dancing with the Stars can only open the doors for all my cast members to be on these shows. And her friendships are always ebbing and flowing. She never shit talks anyone the way everyone else does her. So I do feel bad. I think a lot of people, but people have opinions about her. And again, these women or Tom's, everyone had to film during this and they were uncomfortable. And they have questions about, you're saying one thing, but then you're living in his house and dating another guy. I don't know. The whole thing is crazy and hard and confusing. So I don't know where this leaves next season.
Well, the other thing about this is that, there's a lot of bickering and fighting, and you wonder, like, is that all that's left to this show? Because, a friend of mine, and you read it and I read it, uh, gave us an article on the New York Times, the Tom Sandoval scandal. And there was a whole thing about this. You could jump in with it, but the news editor who interviewed him and how this show was changed. It started off where they were just a bunch of people that didn't have a lot of money, not nice cars. It all was focused on the restaurant and how this show has evolved. And then there was a point where it wasn't doing that great. And then a
Mhm.
scandal happened. And once the scandal happened, the New York Times article says things really kicked up and
Right.
they were nominated for an Emmy. And
Yeah.
never has a reality show been nominated, The Housewives, for an Emmy. But I don't know if they won. I don't think they won,
They did
right?
not win. I think Selling Sunset won. Or
Okay.
wait, no, Welcome to Plattsville might have won.
Basically, the article that I was reading was really significant because it said that it did something that most of these reality shows don't do. It captivated people that were ages like from 18 to 49. And just the fact that it made the New York Times and that it was such a huge investment in terms of popularity, something so terrible actually forwarded the show and increased the show's ratings. And I was wondering, I did not actually finish the entire article. I read most of it and listened to most of it. I was wondering if you had a chance to finish it
I
and
did.
if you wanted to jump in with your thoughts regarding some of the important things that they mentioned about his behavior
Right.
when he was interviewed, expectations, and how the show has evolved so much. Also, one thing I will say that I did hear, even though I didn't finish it, was that it became the show like from what was it, the 1990s, almost like Friends, like the shows of the Friends. But of course, that was different. That was much more tasteful.
Right.
This show is more about
Well,
everybody kind of sleeping with
yes,
everybody.
but it was magic in a bottle. Lightning in a bottle only strikes once. It was
Okay.
the perfect storm. They got together a bunch of people who worked at a restaurant that were all sleeping together in their 20s that did not have their life figured out. And that's why Vanderpump Rules worked. It was authentic. It was crazy. It was messy, but all the drama was real. Now the issue is everybody's grown up, they've matured, they have families, so there's not that crazy level of life-altering drama.
They're not yet, you made a point at the beginning of your statement, which I don't 100% agree with. They're not all married with kids or families. A lot of them are still just acting like they're 20, 21, trying to find themselves. Like The Valley even is a work in process. I started to watch it. I wasn't thrilled with it, but most of those people are paired off and have kids, not all of them. That woman, Kristen's trying to get pregnant and she's 40, but with some new boyfriend. But the point is, like, they're not there. They're not at the Valley. So what's keeping Brock and Sheena from not now being part of the Valley and moving past Vanderpump? Why are they still on Vanderpump?
Do you think Tom should be forgiven? How do you feel about Tom? Do you like Tom Sandoval? Do you think he's annoying, or do you not care? Like, what do you feel about
I found him really annoying. Now I'm just kind of feeling bad for him, and I feel like he's really trying to make an effort. And I kind of feel bad, like they keep punishing him. And I feel like if it was me, I would try to find another friend group, because I feel like he just kind of seems like he's like a guy that's like also sad and like with the tail between his legs, and he's can never get a break, and he's always like sulking and being upset. That I feel bad for him. At the same time, I feel like he needs to move forward and maybe just find another friend group. Well, I think, we've covered a lot on Vanderpump. I think it's really something that we'll have to keep watching. I do want to go on now, move on to So You Think You Can Dance, which I really enjoy. I'm sure there'll be drama there,
Oh, yeah.
but I love the show. I do find it's a little dramatic. The judges try to make it almost like built up, like with Dancing with the Stars, where they say something like you're not going to be picked and then they surprise them. I did disagree with the duet. I took a lot of notes, but even just from memorization and looking at you through the screen, the judges were trying to create drama, like within, like they have to make it like very interesting. It made no sense. They all criticized, even the ones they accepted, that their duets didn't, oh, you did great on the solo, but when it came to the duet, when you guys did the duet, you didn't show that unification. You didn't show
Yeah,
everything.
I didn't agree. I didn't agree. I thought they all had emotion. They all had emotion. I thought
Made
they
no
were
sense. A lot of the dance was not dancing together.
right.
So I don't know what they were doing. I think they were just doing that for ratings they have to make it more interesting.
Well, Allison said she disagreed. Max was like, I saw no connection. Allison was like, I completely disagree. It's just hard. Like, again, you're learning these dances in a limited amount of time.
Right.
And who you've never danced with before, but I guess they have to be hard and critique because they're trying to find the best of the best.
Why didn't they interview the other people and show their emotion? Like the girl that was in the wheelchair.
I know. Okay, they just cut her. They just cut her and they didn't even show her. They didn't show her name getting
right?
They didn't show anything about her. I was like,
That was really ridiculous. I thought that was really despicable that you didn't even show, like, and there was no, I mean, I don't understand how she could even compete with what she was
right,
competing with. The
right.
problem is if they accepted her, then you'd say, oh, favoritism, because she can't get up and do what they're doing. To me, it made no sense.
Made no
And she was
sense.
in the background trying to do the little dance. It made no sense. Plus, she would never be able to dance with a partner. It was really sad. Like I wonder why they didn't show the ones that didn't get chosen. Like,
Right.
do you agree that part
Yeah, that was really weird. I
unfair?
said the same thing. I was like, why didn't they show her? And why didn't they even do like a goodbye? Like she's just out. They didn't even give her an acknowledgement or air the acknowledgement. That was weird.
It's going to be hard to see who makes it through, but I do feel that, okay, so like when they gave, the other weird thing is when they gave their critiques, like Allison's like, oh, I'm going to accept you, but you need to really prove to me in the next round. And to me, they jumped right to the duets.
Yeah.
There was no individual dances to keep showing their growth. I feel like they jumped to the duets too quickly.
Yeah.
Because remember, after the first cut, no, I mean, after the first criticisms, they're like, all right, we're going to keep you, but I expect more from you. Oh, you said this was hip hop. I didn't see any hip hop, but I expect more. But then they didn't show the growth. They didn't show it because they went right to the duets. That was annoying to me. The other thing I found annoying is some of the people we didn't get to follow. What happened to Juicy? Did Juicy make it? Remember, Juicy, he said he never felt like a man, and he felt so, I think it was from Miami, and he felt more like a woman, and they loved him. It's like a drag queen. He was a drag queen or something.
I don't think he made it then.
Yeah, it was weird. To me, it would be like, you have The Bachelor on TV and you're like, I want to see more time with you. I want to date you more to see if I can get, and then they just never show that. That's what I felt like. It's
Right. I felt
terrible.
that too for some of it. It was really weird.
Yeah.
But
So,
I'm excited. JoJo Siwa's back.
right. So what happened to the other judge? Like, what did we
Guest
say?
judge. She was a guest judge, and now JoJo Siwa is going to be an actual judge judging the competition.
Okay. And you've interviewed JoJo Siwa, so that's really
Yeah.
fun to watch. That was a really great interview you did. And so it's every what day of the week is it? Because I've been watching
Monday.
it
Mondays on
Monday. Okay, so I'm not behind. I'm all caught up.
Yes.
All
So
caught up.
we'll keep watching and we'll continue on that and see where.
Yes. All right. And we have a lot more to talk about next time. I'm going to watch a couple more shows. Oh my gosh, one more thing we got to say before we end. The sad news about Kate. I don't think we talked about that.
Yes, Kate Middleton. I'm very sad to find out she has cancer. Her and King Charles have cancer.
Right, right.
And I don't know what type of cancer. And I really hope she's okay. And I hope she pulls through. And I have all the good vibes to her because this is just so devastating. And we love her. She's such a good mom.
So classy, such
So
a
classy.
wonderful role model
Yeah.
for, everybody in her
Does so much for children and
yeah,
help.
in her position and in England. I mean, she's
Yeah.
just a very classy woman. So we are praying for her. So on that note, let's have great news for the week, positivity. I'm hoping for warmer weather. It's been awful in Connecticut. I think I brought the crappy weather from Sedona to Connecticut, although we had a couple nice days in Sedona. I'm hoping for better days here. I know you guys have great weather in California. And I'm so sick of the rain. We had such a bad rainstorm yesterday. I'm ready to move on and hit 70s. So pray for me, Alexandra. It's all I have
I
to say
will. I
on
got you.
weather. All right.
Bye.
Bye. I'll see you next week.